Hello, welcome to the stream. Every once in a while it's fun to play that before we start. Okay, kind of like lets the notification go out that, hey, we're live and everybody can pop on in. Hello, Dolphin Soul and Heather Bryant and Tara Giblin and Joseph Fincham. And sometimes I swear I feel like on an episode of Romper Room when I do that. It's probably aging myself. Today we're talking about the Caran D'Ache Gouache Studio. So I have the Caran D'Ache, I got the 15. Now everything is going to be linked in the description below. You can get this with just 7 colors, or you can get it for 15. If you click on the link, it'll take you to Blick. And for the price difference, I couldn't see not getting the 15. So of course we're using the 15. Hello, Rob. Okay, so I had talked last time that we would use gouache. And on my last plein air adventure with the girls, Shanna Rowe Jackson, who is Caution Artist at Play here on YouTube, had these paints. And Lindsay, the Frugal Crafter, here on YouTube, and Karen of Karen Clark Creations here on YouTube, and of course myself, were just checking out the palette and what she was painting with it, and we were like, I need to have that. And then Lindsay happened to see the price on Blick and messaged us. We have a group chat with the 4 of us, and she was like, okay, I need somebody to let's talk her down, because she was like ready to buy it when she saw the price. And yeah, so none of us talked her down, and now we all have it. So today, I just thought my new curated collection is not ready yet. So hopefully we will have that soon. But I still wanted to do gouache, and I got this in, and I have just been like, this has been sitting in my downstairs studio space, and I haven't had a chance to use it. So I thought, you know what? That's what we're going to do today. We are going to dive into the Caran D'Ache Studio Gouache and check it out. Let's see how opaque they are. This is pre-dried. Let me take you to the desk so you can have a look, and we will unbox this. There we go. Okay. So this is how it arrived. And I was a little disappointed because my tin was banged up a little bit over here. And there's also like a little bit of a dent there. Can you see it? Right there. But when we look inside, I'm going to need that. Okay, but when we look inside, everything inside was fine. And the tin was operating just fine. It opens and closes just fine. So you know what? It's fine. Okay, the Caran D'Ache Gouache. I'm going to leave that tipped up because we're going to get a glare. We're going to get to these in a minute, but this bag is my Biennial sketch liner pens here, and we're going to talk about them in just a moment because I use those to make the black lines that you'll see for when we swatch these out. So this is inside. We've got a paintbrush sticker and, a gouache pan. And then this just says Creative Class by Caran D'Ache. Yeah. So we have 14 colors plus a tube of white. I love that they put a tube of white here because, we go through white the most. I haven't heard the best things about the opacity of the white, but we're going to see here in just a minute. We're going to swatch that out. It also comes with a size 8 round. Says Caran D'Ache. Does that want to focus? There we go. So, why not? We'll check that out. Brushes I'm going to be using today. Literally, I just grabbed some old brushes because I'm not using my watercolor brushes with these. I don't know how easily they're going to reactivate. I don't know how thick they're going to be. I don't know any of that. So I'm not putting my watercolor brushes in them yet. And there's that. So these are just, I wish you could still get these. I can't find them anywhere. They are Art Echo. They actually came, these are the brushes I've shown you guys before. Oh, if I can. Oh, I'm about to lose stamps. I have all my stamps from when we had our Zoom session last Friday. That was so much fun. So they came, the brushes came in this case. And of course now I don't care to keep them in there. I have my Princeton Neptune brushes in here. But I love the case. You got the case and the brushes. Very affordable. And the brushes were great. I used to use them all the time for, like, if I did some acrylic painting on paper where I wanted short handles, you would see me using these. I used to use these when I would teach over Zoom and we would do acrylic painting. So, you know, yeah, you've seen that, but I think they're going to be fine for the gouache. That's what I'm using. And if I can ever find them back on Amazon, I will be sure to share them because I definitely used to recommend those brushes and now I can't find them. Okay. So we're going to swatch these. The 15 colors, when you take the sleeve off, they actually have, I don't think I'm going to cut this, but it's made so that like you can open it up. There's information on the inside, and some of that information is they have a swatch sheet, and it lists the colors and gives you a little hexagon so that you can swatch in there. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that today, but I will tell you the colors, and we're going to swatch them on a bigger piece of paper because I want to see them nice and big. So this is a piece of the Bee Inspired watercolor paper. And again, the black lines, I used my Biennial markers or pens or whatever you want to call them, fine liners. I don't know. And I love these. These are one of my favorites. These are linked in the description. I have this set, which are black, and I have another set that are the sepia or sepia, however you prefer to say it. And the black ones and the sepia ones are a little different. The black ones come with these two in it, and these, they are a really fine chisel tip. So you have a 1 and a 2, and they are, like I said, chisel tips. Which would be, you know, if you do like some small calligraphy or something, you could use those. That's what they make me think of, the like the Elegant Writer like calligraphy pens. I used to have some of those. And then this one, this is what I use to make my lines. Look at that big old brush nib. It is flexible. The tip is definitely has some flex to it. I just put it on its side and did the 2 swipes and did my lines there. It also comes with a smaller brush like this. And then all the rest of them are your normal, you know, your normal size fine liners. Now these are, they say that they are pigment ink. They are light fast, waterproof, fade proof. I've never had a problem with these on watercolor for doing like a line and wash. And you're going to see we're going to paint over this. I just did it just before the stream started. I'm going to drop those back in my bag. And yeah, so we're going to paint over those just to be able to see how opaque our colors are. I have here on the side, this is the lid. In case I want to mix some of these, I'm hoping we can paint something with these. So this is the lid to my Meeden 12 well ceramic palette, which is buried. I can't pull that over right now. But this is the lid that goes to that. This was actually in my very first curated collection. So yeah, this one you often see me pull over to the desk to mix on. All right, I'm going to move this aside. Let's talk about these first. So this comes with we have the brush, we have the tube of white gouache. Now this is like a plastic, little plastic insert, and this does, in fact, come out of here. I say that, right? It comes out so easily. Okay, I've gotten it out of here. There we go. So it can come out. The bottom is silver. It's not white. So it's not like if I pull this out, I'm increasing like so much mixing space. But this is just like the plastic molded, you know, and they just stick in there. Now your colors do, now if I can get it back together, your colors do pop in and out of this plastic holder. And they have the number on the side of them. So the 010, that one, right? It just says yellow. But each one of them has their number on there. So 240 is lemon yellow. So I say that, but I have only been able to find, and I'm going to drop it in the chat. So if you are here on the live chat during the stream, I am pasting it in there now. The only place I've been able to find refills for these is Cult Pens. And Cult Pens has 12 of the colors. I didn't have time to look and see which two of these 14 that are here they don't have, but they did have 12 of them, and they were only like $3 a pan. Now, how, I don't know, $3 a pan. I don't know how I feel. I don't know how these are going to be as far as, look, so here is a traditional like full pan, and then here is your pan of gouache. There's the thickness for comparison. You can see they're about the same length, not quite as deep. And of course, it's a bit wider. So there's a comparison when you're thinking about how much paint you're getting. I hear studio and I think student grade. Like the Lucas Studio, or some of them have Academy, like Schminke Academy would be like the student grade. Are these student grade? I don't know. They don't make a difference. As far as I could find, Caran D'Ache does make these in tubes. I do have them linked below. So you can also get them in tubes. The basic set of tubes, tube paint that you could get wasn't the same, all the same colors that are in here. Like one of them said burnt sienna. Yet nothing here says burnt sienna. We do have a brown. I don't know if that's going to be like burnt sienna. So can you get the tubes and refill these and, you know, fill them back up yourself? I have no idea. I don't know how the tubes will dry down. But I was excited to see these because they're already in pans. I don't have to worry about them cracking or breaking. But that said, I have no pigment information for you. So I cannot tell you which yellow this lemon yellow is, or, you know, which red makes up these reds. But we're going to have a good look at them today. We're going to see what we've got. I don't know. We'll just kind of see how it goes as far as comparing. Like, I have the Daniel Smith, the original colors that Daniel Smith released for gouache, and let me grab those. So this is my palette that I have my original 22 colors. So this one is only 14. This one holds 22 of my Daniel Smith. So if we look at the size that this takes up, I saw this palette and was thinking, hey, plein air, I could take this on the go and I wouldn't need to have like a bunch of tubes that I'm putting out wet paint. And then if it's not dry or I didn't use it up, what am I doing with it all? So that's why this appealed to me and I wanted to give it a try. Oh, that's perfect. I just want to share that. Thank you, Other Tara. Says, I've ordered from Cult Pens. I'm in the UK, and it went well and nice and safely packaged. That's fantastic, because I've never ordered from them. I am almost positive that Shanna Rowe Jackson from Caution Artists at Play, that she has ordered from them before. And in fact, I'm pretty sure she's the one who mentioned to me that we can get refills for these there. So I did look it up, and of course I dropped that link. It's not an affiliate link to Cult Pens, but it is in the live chat if that is something that, you know, maybe you have these and you're like, oh, I needed to replace one, and well, now you can. Okay, so, you know, my Daniel Smith gouache, when I look at this, and this one is not, just to get that lid off. So I have my colors in there. My swatch is underneath. It's being held by the palette piece. I've taken this plein air before. Right now these have some water. There are some that are splitting up, but that didn't happen until I put the water in it. When I first put them in there and they just dried down, they didn't crack and fall apart. The Daniel Smith gouache dries down very well. So if you're looking for a tube gouache that will give you pigment information so that you know exactly what you're using, I definitely recommend the Daniel Smith gouache. I have enjoyed that. We need to paint with that some more, but that's just to say we don't have pigment information, or at least I couldn't find any. If you have found the information and you know where we can find it for ourselves, please drop in the comments, whether you're watching this live or on replay, and share with us if you have found the actual pigment information. I don't think it's out there, but you know, I could be wrong, and that would be great to know. So that's the pans. Again, this is like a plastic case. I also think that, you know, if I wanted to get this more compact, I'm sure I could. I could probably take a different palette, like one of my watercolor palettes that has the rails, and take out the rail system and just stick these down in the bottom. And then I could probably get this much more compact for traveling. So, thanks, Heather. So Heather says she's had hers for several years and has not found any information. Yeah, so, you know, my first thought going in on these, it said Gouache Studio. So I'm thinking, okay, it's probably going to be the equivalent of like a student grade paint, and that's fine. No pigment information, but I wanted this set for traveling, and if I'm traveling, I'm working mostly in a sketchbook, so it doesn't matter to me what the Lightfast information is for these, because I want these for working in sketchbook. Okay, so hopefully that all makes sense. I'm not worried about, like with my Daniel Smith gouache, if I was going to paint something like the painting that we did during the last live streams, I think that would translate so well as a gouache painting. I think that would be beautiful as a gouache painting. If I wanted to paint that in gouache to sell it, I'm going to use my Daniel Smith gouache. And that's just because I have all the pigment information and I know it's Lightfast. You know what I mean? Or I know the Lightfast ratings, so I can make appropriate choices for that. So that's that. Okay, let's take a peek. Now, I have here, again, I said it was my bee inspired watercolor paper. That's what we're going to swatch these on. And I've used this before. Gosh, this has been like from 2022. I got this from a Paletful Packs box back in November of 2022. This is a Strathmore Drawing 400 series black paper. This is a 5x10 spiral bound. I couldn't find the spiral bound on Blick. Oh, I gotta keep my stuff covered there. This was done, pretty sure this was done with pastels. You guys remember that? Who's been around long enough to remember that? We did that back in 2022. Okay, so I'm just going to use this page because I tested a stamp on there last year when I was looking one of my Christmas stamps. I'm just going to paint on this page just so that we can see how they show up on the black paper. I did again put a black line on here. So let me move this to the side. First, I am not going to spritz them or pre-wet them in any way. I got all kinds of stuff in my way here. So I'm not going to spritz them or pre-wet them just because I want to see how well they do just getting my brush wet and coming at the pans. I will tell you the colors, that what they call the colors. I should write them down as I go. Let me grab one of these liners. I had seen the 8. The 1, that should be fine. Something that's going to be big enough for us to see. Yeah, that's chunky. Okay, I love the ends. You see how they're like little, and they definitely words are not coming today. They stow on the top very well. They post. No, there's a word and it's not coming to me. Anyhow. Okay. And I almost stuck my pen in my water thinking I have my paintbrush. We've got issues today. Oh, I'm setting my ceramic palette in the... You guys can't even really see all of this. Let me get this moved over a little bit. There. That lets you see the colors. There we go. Hi, Berlina. Okay, now I'm also going to talk about paper. I also have sitting here. We used this during the last curated collection. So if you've been buying the supplies from the curated collections, you probably have this. And this is the Strathmore Vision watercolor paper. I did not like it. I chose it because it was very, as far as keeping the cost, very reasonable for all of you to have a surface to work on. It was very reasonably priced. It was very affordable. It is a cellulose paper. It's a watercolor pad, but I did not like it for the watercolor. I don't know how you guys felt, but I wasn't thrilled with it for that. However, I'm going to take a piece of this out of here today because I want to try gouache on it. It's a very smooth, it says cold press. Yeah, it says it is a cold press paper, and it is 140 pound, 300 GSM, 9x12, right? But it's very smooth for cold press paper, in my opinion. It feels like hot press to me. I mean, it might not be, and this is never going to pick up texture. Ooh, you're seeing a little bit of that texture. It's very smooth. So I was like, you know what? Maybe gouache will work well. So yeah, I figured if we get to paint something today, that's what I am going to do that on. All right. I'm just going to kind of, when I put my swatches down, I'm going to bring in the black and just kind of put it there. I'm not labeling the black. I'm going to label it on here. So, okay. You guys are talking about the Langton paper. I have some of that I got in an art box, but I've never really given it a try or used it because other than it coming in my art box, like I couldn't find it so readily available. So yeah, I've never really used that. Okay, now I need to find my lid for my colors. There it is. All right. So I'm just going to write these really quickly. We're going to have yellow, right? It's 0, 1, 0. Then we have lemon yellow. We're going to do 5 on a line. That is number 240. These are just the color numbers that I'm writing. Vermilion. I wanted to do this. I think I just put an extra L in vermilion. Just ignore it. It's just one L. Look at one big L. It never happened. 060. Carmine Lake. I don't know. I hear lake and I think not light fast. And that is 080. And magenta. Magenta is 090. All right, we're going to move down to violet, which is number 120. It's weird because this isn't a certain way. These are listed weirdly too, and then I'm doing them in sections of 5, so I'm trying not to make a mistake. And then comes ultramarine. That is 140. Cyan is 170. Malachite green. I'm interested to see what that one looks like. I wrote those a little too close together, but that's fine. We're going to space them out. And I can't spell green today, so there we go. There's that. Then we have yellow green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Last one, yellow green. And I think I'm writing up the paper. This is a great swatch. This is what happens when I don't have the time to write them out before the stream and make them nice and neat. And then we're going to have emerald green. Lots of greens. I don't know how I feel about that. We'll see once we see the whole palette. Emerald green is number 210. Then we have ochre, which is 035. Brown. Again, I don't know what. I'm really writing way too far up my paper here. Brown, 059. Black, 009, and gives us no indication of what kind of black, if it's an ivory black or anything like that. And then, of course, white, which is what is in our tube, and that is number 001. There we go. Okay, the rest of this is going to go much faster. Let me just double check the comments. Carmine, Heather says Carmine Lake is like a pink. All my colors still look good except for purple. It's a pinkish color. That's what Heather was saying. Okay. All right. Using the brush that came with the paints. First, it's just there wasn't really anything to rinse out of it. It wasn't stiff or anything like that. So just wetting our brush. Well, let's just come right over here to our yellow and see what we get. Okay, so that's very transparent. But it is re-wetting easily. Okay. Next up, we have our lemon yellow. So we have a cool and a warm yellow. They do re-wet very easily. And one of the things I will point out with these, with the biennial markers, they're not repelling. That looks like a little bit of that activated and moved. This may not be have dried enough, because normally my lines do not bleed. They do not move when I paint over them. I use those all the time with watercolor and never have a problem. Okay, next up is vermilion. They re-wet super easy. I mean, we didn't spritz any of these, so I have to wonder if I did spritz them ahead of time, would they be more opaque? And I forgot to start putting our colors on the black as well. See, we can thin them right down, kind of like a watercolor. Oh, don't rinse out. Whoa. Okay, so we're just going to put these on our black paper and see how they do. Oh, very interesting. I'll share that in just a moment. Look at, see the, it's definitely like that. One, it's not opaque. Two, it's quite streaky. Like, no matter how hard I try, like that doesn't want to, I can't just swipe in there and get rid of that streakiness. That was pretty wet. All right, next up we have the Carmine Lake. I could definitely see if you diluted that some. Oh, I didn't want to rinse that out. If you diluted that some, that it would be a nice pink, but it would be very diluted in more like watercolor. See, and this could be just be the paper, but no, I don't know. It's like I said, it's quite streaky, and yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I don't think I would use this gouache on this paper. Then we have magenta. It's definitely a pink. And you see, I'm not getting as much streakiness. Like I can smooth it out on the watercolor paper. So again, this is not a watercolor paper. This is the Strathmore 400 series drawing paper. So the surface is not necessarily made for wet media. So there's that. Yeah, we can like barely even see that one on the black. Yeah, Berlina says try adding some of the white for it to show up better on the black, and that would definitely be a possibility too to see. Okay, next up we have violet. I'm like so curious. Is this going to be like a dioxazine type? Yes, it is definitely. It's like a dioxazine violet, like a PV23. That's what that color looks like. Again, another one that I'm sure we're not really seeing on this black paper because the color itself is so dark. All right, let's check out our ultramarine. Now, oh, that is so not ultramarine. Immediately, my first impression as I am painting these, I have to wonder if I spritz them. I'm going to do that after. Will they get activated better and become more opaque? I'm not seeing the opacity here that I want in gouache. Oops, I forgot to put our ultramarine on our black paper. There we go. Yeah, I'm not seeing. I will show you. I'll show you my swatch. I'll grab my Daniel Smith gouache again, and again, Daniel Smith gouache is professional gouache, and when I hear studio, the Caran D'Ache Gouache Studio, I think student. So I don't want to compare them to each other, because if this is a student grade, the Daniel Smith is a professional grade, it's not really fair to say, oh, this doesn't stand up because, well, it's student grade. You know, I wouldn't expect it to be that same quality. But even with the Daniel Smith gouache, I will say that there are colors that, you know, you have to build the layers to get the opacity. Okay, so this cyan is very phthalo blue. I wouldn't be surprised if that was exactly what this is that's making this color. But I will also say that seeing how they do here, some of that transparency, if it can be built up, I keep forgetting to go to my book before I rinse out. Okay, there's the cyan. When I paint with gouache, I kind of start like I'm painting in watercolor. So I would have some thin layers, and then I would build up the thickness of my paint as I go, as I layer up. This is the malachite green. Oh, very much is looking like a phthalo green to me. I had a lot of water mixed in with that on my brush. Let me kind of get some of that out. I like that color. So far, I think that's one of my favorite colors to look at. Again, I'm just not quite seeing the opacity that I would love to see. But if we can mix our colors with some of the white and gain that opacity without them becoming pastel, because that would be, you know, I wouldn't want them to be more. It's fine if you want to paint pastel colors. There's that one on the black. But to add white just to get the opacity and lose, you know, at the expense of the color, that's not going to work either. If that makes sense. Like, I want this green, but if I add white to it, I don't have that green anymore. It's more opaque, but it's not this beautiful dark, you know, shade of green, and it's now a pastel version of that. That one goes over that nicely. So this is the yellow green, probably already has white in it. Again, they don't tell you what pigments are in there, so we don't know. But seeing that coverage on that black line, this probably has some white pigment in it already. I'm seeing, let me see if I can wash that out for you. Very yellow. If we look at the undertone there, look at that yellow. It's very yellow. So yeah, I would say that's probably a mixture of pigments and probably has white in it. See, look at how that goes over that black. Okay, then we have, all right, this can't be right. How are we missing one? Yellow green, that, I think they were in the wrong spot. I went to yellow green. Hold on, I think mine were in the wrong spots. Right, so 230, right, yellow green. And then 210, emerald green. They were not in, I had my yellows were like that, these two, when I first got them. They weren't in the correct order. So that was weird. Okay. Now it makes sense. Next one up is emerald green. Ooh, I can already see that is definitely. I'm thinking phthalo green. So yeah, it's very streaky on this Be Inspired watercolor paper, and this is usually what I swatch everything out on. There it is on the, oops, sorry, there it is on the black. All right. We will, once I swatch the white, we will try to mix some of them and see like how does that do when we bring that white into them. So we will check it out. And look at that one. That ochre is nice and opaque. That one definitely has the opacity to it. Definitely shows up well on the black paper. Next up we have brown. I will say they absolutely reactivate. Ooh, look at the opacity in that one. Oh, we need to put it on here. So there are definitely some. Oh, and as it's drying, do you see that once it's dried, look at our purple has shown up. It showed up to the party. So as they are drying, they're definitely showing up much better. All right, black. And as I kind of thin this out a little bit, it's a warm black. So it could be like an ivory black. And of course, black on black is going to be black. There we go. All right, let's clean this brush out and have a look at the white. I love the lid. It has the, you see like the ridges all the way around. It makes it easy to grip that and get it open. I'm just going to take some straight off the tube, right? Because we want to see how opaque. This is pulling some of my line, and I don't know why. I've never had a problem I've never had a problem with those markers, or those, I keep saying markers, but those pens, those pigment liners. Never had a problem with them activating and moving. And of course, we will put some right here. Oh, fantastic. Excellent. Thank you for sharing that, Tara. Yeah, let me just say, let me share that. And so other Tara says, Sarah Burns has a list of the pigments on her website, though there are 1 or 2 missing, but many are, as you would guess. I absolutely recommend, if you are really interested in gouache, if you haven't heard of Sarah Burns, definitely need to check her channel out. She is an amazing artist and has so much information on gouache. Definitely her website is a great resource. Okay, so there we have them. Some of these are still in the process of drying, so we'll have a peek at these again before we're all said and done. But there they are on black paper. Now, I said I would mix some of these with some white. So we're just going to kind of slide. I don't have a whole ton of space here. I'm going to turn my palette so that I have room to fit this one in. And we're going to put some of this white gouache on the palette. Okay. Now, we're going to go like this, a little bit of our white gouache. And I'm just I know I'm putting white gouache on this yellow. I'm not worried about it, but we're going to put that in there and we'll mix this up. And then I'm going to do it kind of right next to the color, because that was asked, right? So the color mixed with some white gouache. There we go. And we'll go with our gouache. And I'm just going to come right into this yellow. And I'm still not seeing the opacity, but I'm not really seeing the opacity in this white either. So I don't know how, I mean, it's definitely, like I said, more pastel. It's brighter when you look at this one and you look at this one. My water's so nasty already, my dirty water. I'm going to take some more. See, and here's where when we come into our darker colors, it's just making it so much more pastel. So yeah, it might have more opacity, but if it's now this pastel color, that's not that. So that's not what I'm looking for. I mean, I hope that helps, because that was one of the questions that was asked, was could I mix it with some white so that you guys could see that. Let's look at I'll do them. I'm not going to do all of them because I think we can get the point here real quick. Let's look at the magenta. Again, when I'm mixing this on, see, this is going to be very pink. So that one was, it's going to be right there. See how much lighter that is? So yeah, you might have some more opacity that way, but it's a completely different color, in my opinion. I mean, that might be the way you like to paint with gouache, and then that's fine. Hopefully that kind of helps you and gives you some good information. Colors that I see that are the most opaque, of course, the black, the brown, the ochre, those are our earthy colors. I would expect them to be more opaque on their own. Just the pigments that would, like, this is probably a PBR 7, PBR 42 or 43. This might be a PBK 7 or a PBK 9. I'm not sure. That definitely looks like a PB 23. The ultramarine, I want to see. I've added water, much more water. This is more like you would do for watercolor. I just want to see, does this ultramarine have the granulation that I would expect in the watercolor? And yeah, I'm definitely seeing it right there. Okay. So there's that. When we look at these colors, it's a great palette. When we look, we definitely have like a very warm and a cool red, and then kind of like a almost neutral red here. We have a warm and a cool yellow. We have a warm and a cool blue. This means we could probably do some wonderful mixing. We do have a purple. We have 3 greens. I'm sure we can probably mix some greens. Let's look at some ultramarine. This is mixed in with that first. Didn't have quite enough yellow left. This was that first yellow. Right? That's kind of giving us this more muted, almost like a mossy green. And that's with the ultramarine. So I'm going to use the ultramarine again. Mix it with this lemon yellow. And of course, it way overpowered the yellow. So let's bring some more in. All right, so there are our 2 yellows mixed with our ultramarine. Oh, congratulations and thank you so much, Rob. We could just take a moment and celebrate Rob, who has been a member of the channel for 12 months now, a much longer than that supporter of the channel and patron, but thank you so much. Let's check out these 2 yellows with the there are my 2 yellows. You guys can't see it. Let me turn that. So there's our 2 yellows. And let's look at those with cyan. So right here, if we take our cyan and first we mix the cyan with our warm yellow, we get this. This is not too far off from that. Okay. But there's that green. And then let's mix our cyan with our cool lemon yellow. And look at this green. Like spring grass, right? It's a little deeper than that. So we can mix some nice greens with this. Let's try, I want to try one that I think will be fun. I'm going to mix. I guess I'm mixing probably because I've been missing the mixed videos. I have some new ideas for some mixed videos, so hopefully I will be able to get those coming back to you before too long. All right, so this is our magenta that was here. And I'm going to mix some of the malachite green with that. I just want to see what will happen. Look at this purple. I love mixing pink and green and getting purple. And if you didn't know that that's what happens, that would have been a great one to stump you all for the Guess the Mix. Look at that purple. Very different from this. And if we take this purple, let's take a look at this. It's fun that you can mix with this set. I'm liking that ability. If we take our magenta again, and we take some of our malachite, and we're going to mix them together. See, right now I have more of a blue. But let's grab, I'm making a very big mess because I'm just going back in dirty. All right, so we have that. But then let's come up here, grab some of our white, and make ourselves a really pretty, like, wisteria color. I say wisteria because that's what I think of, like Daniel Smith's Wisteria is about this color. Look at that. Isn't that a pretty light purple? So that's just this with the white in it. And there we go. Oh my goodness. Okay, hold on a second here. All right, let's just pause for just a moment and say a huge thank you to Rob. Rob has just gifted 10 memberships, and we will... The other Tara, Berlina, JC, Belle, oh hey, Belle Bozer, how are you? Michigan Life Rocks, Boo Peep, Hanson. Hey Tara, welcome. Rachel, Shelly, I love we're seeing some new names here. Welcome. Okay, so all of you, thank you. If you have received a gifted membership, one of your best perks is Discord. So as long as you connect your YouTube channel that received a membership over on your Discord, if you don't know what Discord is, an app. It lets us chat. I have rooms that unlock at every different tier. So the higher your tier, the more Discord you unlock. But Discord is one of the best features that you have as a channel member. And I definitely recommend, if you haven't done it yet, like I said, Discord is an app. You just download Discord, and you go to your settings. You will go to, I think it's integrations or connections, and you connect your YouTube. You just sign into your YouTube, and then the little bots will take care of everything else and get you connected over there. So I hope we get to see some of you join us and come say hello. Okay. So, did I miss a question from scrolling to just see real quick? One moment. Oh, we were talking about there was talking about zinc white. Zinc white is like a PW4. versus titanium white, which is PW6. Zinc white, PW4, is more transparent. PW6 is more opaque. So if that helps, I hope that kind of helps with that brief discussion. Rob says it is totally wisteria. Yeah, doesn't that look like wisteria? I said I was going to grab them. So my Daniel Smith watercolors. And I love mixing. I'm just going to take the bottom off because this is where I have my color chart. So these are like straight from the tube, a little bit watered down, a little more watered down. That's how I did those. But here's the wisteria. Here's the one I just made. They're very, very close. And in fact, I could get it that way. I just need more magenta in my mix. This is leaning just slightly more towards I almost said ultramarine. It's not. It's leaning slightly more towards that green right there. But yeah, and then like the lavender, that I think we would have to mix the magenta. This is dirty. Hold on. I got to clean this off. You guys can't see it, but I made it filthy. Like the magenta. Thinking the ultramarine. It's still a bit bold. Needs to be more blue. It's kind of close. And then we would grab more of that white, bring that in. Well, it's close. It's not perfect. It still needs more blue to get there. Definitely was not quite blue enough. There we go. There we go. So if you're looking for lavender, there we have it. That one. So yeah, as far as being able to mix, I like the possibilities that are here. Here's my, for those of you who love to see the palettes, there's some of that on the palette. But what I was saying about adding the white, like where I stopped here and said, you know, I'm just making completely different colors by adding the white. With this, so when I'm using like the Daniel Smith gouache, some of the colors are a little bit more transparent. I can build up layers and I can get that more opacity from that by adding more layers. However, if we look at like yellow, I'm thinking yellow is going to kind of be an equivalent of like a Hansa yellow medium. When I look at those, looks kind of similar. So is this like a PY74? I don't know. Like I have no idea the actual pigments. Is this lemon yellow PY3? Maybe. But even with that, look at I have the opacity there. And I didn't have to add white to any of these. So that's definitely the difference between a professional gouache and like a student gouache. I don't need to add white to get my opacity. The opacity is already there in your professional gouaches. So your color is going to have that. If you see those, your color is going to have it. Now, wisteria has white in it. That's PW6, PR122. Right? Again, lavender, PW6. It has white in it. But there are plenty, like this ultramarine blue is just PB29, and that is definitely got the opacity there. But that's the difference, right? Professional grade, more student grade. Can I build up the layers and get opacity? That's my next question. So let me put these away because we're not playing with Daniel Smith today. Although it would be fun. There we go. Okay. Can we build our opacity? I don't know. Right now, my first impression is that didn't do it. I'm going to give these a spritz. I'm just going to quickly go through and put another stripe on these, and I'm just so far I'm not seeing that build up. My water's so dirty. Oh my gosh, even my clean water is starting to get dirty. Now, the Carmine Lake is, I'm seeing more as I go. So how many layers does it take to get the opacity? So it's like completely opaque from this gouache? I don't know. I'm certainly not seeing it there. Right? It looks more transparent while it's wet. We'll see what happens when it dries. Now, this one was already looking opaque. Much more so than the others. Same with the ultramarine. I'm already seeing some opacity in that one. Now that this has a lot more drag to it, and it's been sitting there with that spritzed water on it, so maybe I'm gonna come back to those. Maybe we'll see if these all feel thicker. Berolina says the purple is beautiful, and this mix redeems Viridian green for me. Are you talking about this this mix? Because Viridian and magenta make a gorgeous purple. They make such a beautiful purple. This certainly is not Viridian. This has got to be PG7. Get our malachite. And this is kind of like a turquoise-like color. I would almost wonder if the malachite green was a mixture of phthalo blue and phthalo green. In fact, if I can remember that, I'm just gonna hold my fingers there. Maybe that'll help me remember. We'll mix them and see, because I have a feeling this is phthalo blue and this is phthalo green, and if it looks like that, then ooh, now look at that. Look at the opacity we have in that one on that second layer. There's the emerald. I'll have to clean a spot on my palette to be able to do that. The ochre. That one certainly, I mean, that already had a great opacity to it to start with. Same with this brown. I mean, I don't know how much more we're getting with that, but we'll go for it anyways. And same with the black. I think this is kind of redundant. We already had the opacity there in the beginning. Okay, let's see the white. Let's see a second. I've got some right here still on my palette. Let's grab a little bit more of that. See, even with the second layer, and that's straight from the tube, I'm not seeing the opacity. Okay, I wanted to mix. Let me grab a tissue. And then I'm trying to think, what can we paint? What can we paint with these? I'm just gonna clear a spot right here so that we can have a look. If I take my emerald green, and I'm pretty sure my cyan, that's the color I'm trying to mix. My cyan right here. Well, it's a bit brighter than that. This is a little bit more moody. So let me just put that's another green. I'll just kind of look at that one. So see how close they are? They're very, very close. Like very, yeah. I would absolutely, actually, I'm saying yes. Now that I see it on paper, your malachite green, and see, me as someone who enjoys mixing colors, I see this and I go, it's not really a convenience color that I use a lot of. I would much rather have another color on this palette, because with these two, I can mix that all day long. So I don't know. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but that's just my thought. I would love to, like, I would give this up for a burnt sienna in a heartbeat. But that said, looking at this palette, it's wonderful. You can mix so much with this. It looks like a great mixing palette. So, we will talk to you over on Discord, Heather Bryant. Okay. All right. Oh, you're welcome. Oh, I just lost my chat just jumped. I was just reading Pretty Pink Fro, and you're welcome. I'm glad that you are finding some inspiration. Okay. So my white is not white enough that I would want to come back over top. Can we just look at that ultramarine blue? Definitely. That has some granulation in that. I love it. I really like that. I was almost seeing some granulation in the, let's take a look at this. Let's get some more water in this and have a look. I'm wondering if this is PV23 or if it is a PV15 and something else. PV15 being like an ultramarine violet, because PV23 does not granulate. PV15 does. Either way, it's gorgeous. Gorgeous. Beautiful purple. We'll just let that dry and we'll see what happens. I'm not seeing it coming through, so most likely PV23. If I had to guess, I would say that's probably what it is. But look at those colors. That is fantastic. Let's go full. I did have information on the screen for the new website is on the screen. I meant to share that with all of you. The website has changed, so we are now clarkfineartstudio.com. Okay, so the old website is no more. But you can visit clarkfineartstudio.com, and I'm hoping that I will be able to start having blog posts and things that kind of go along with some of the videos show up there. So yeah, there's that. We will see. It is the new website. There will be things for sale there before too much longer as well, if everything goes as planned. But yeah, so now let's go ahead and go full screen so you can really get a look at those colors. I like the palette. So first impression, it's not as opaque as I would have hoped. However, I think it's a wonderful set to be able to mix with. Yeah. So Berlina Strassman shared. Oh, come on. There we go. My friends in Switzerland tell me this is the standard set children use in school. See, student grade for sure. It just feels like it's student grade. However, they re-wet so easily. They're beautifully re-wet. Now that that has sat there for a little bit, I just want to see. No, still. I mean, it's just not. So anyhow, am I put off by that? No, not at all. So Cadmium Red Feral Kitten says, a small painting with these today or next week. Well, I did grab the piece of the Strathmore Vision watercolor paper. I have to zoom you guys out because, all right, one, it's my focus isn't wanting to focus because all it sees is white paper. Let's zoom you out, move you over. There we go. Okay, so yeah, the question is what to paint. I'm going to actually take this and we're going to take it in half. So it is 9 by 6 instead of being 9 by 12. That is, if I can get this to work for me. There we go. We're going for that. So again, I do not recommend this paper for watercolor. We tried it in our the last curated collection. Wasn't a big fan. So it is cold pressed watercolor paper. However, it's very smooth and I just didn't like the way that the colors worked on it. So there's that. All right. And we have our palette. I'm trying to think what we want to paint. We have some time, so we can do that. I would love to see how some of them kind of mix and mingle with each other. All right, let's just think fall. Let me grab a pencil real quick. All right, we're going to way or this way. We'll do it the tall way. And I'm just going to real quick. Right, and with gouache, we shouldn't really have to worry about our pencil lines, should we? Well, we would like to think not. And I don't know how much of the sketch you guys will be able to see right away, but Okay. I'm gonna have to turn this for a moment. This is the one, or not the one, this is one of the trees that we don't have here on our property. I have collected. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to go from memory here. May not be exact, but you know, they're kind of like this. See, we have a little oak leaf and some acorns there. And let's put another one. Let's put another one. This, yeah. We're going to let that one be behind that one. Maybe there's another one back here. Right? We like odd numbers. That's going to take it right off the page. Actually, I don't like that because it's taking it off the page. Just grab an eraser. It never happened. It never happened. All right, there we go. Okay, looks like acorns. Yes, we don't have oak trees here. We have maples on our property. We have birch trees. We definitely have some evergreens. But we don't have oak trees. I've collected a few acorns to see if I can't plant and get one to grow. One of the things I wanted to know is how are these going to like mix and mingle when you put them like wet and wet together? So Rob says, yeah, right? Hey, had to be something about a tree. You guys, I love to paint trees. All right, let me just clean this off so that I can use it to mix on. Look at those colors just kind of running and moving. There we go. Good enough. I still have white right here. Ooh. All right. I could mix right in the lid. I'm just gonna have this here so that you guys can kind of see if I do some mixing. These re-wet so nicely. All right, let's start with, and I want to see how they're going to layer that opacity. Can I put my lights over dark? So I'm going to start with we're going to take some brown and we are going to mix some black, and yeah, I'm just going right in there. All right, let's paint our branch. I also want this to be dry when I do that leaf behind it. Probably could have started with that leaf, but that's okay. All right. So my branch, and it's going to be fall. Our leaves are going to be fall leaves, so I'm going to take a little bit of this and I'm going to pull that right down there. I still think this would be more of a greenish color, but good enough. Okay, I'm letting this dry because I'm going to come back on that with some lighter colors so we can see if we can make bark. I'm going to wet this. I would not normally do gouache like wet and wet, but I want to see how these colors will play when I use them thinner like watercolor, because usually that's where I start. We're going to have these be fall leaves. And that was the other thing with this, like this Strathmore Vision paper. It just sucks the water in like a sponge. It's very, very thirsty paper. That's fine. Let's put some yellow. See, nothing is like moving and spreading out. And even if this was watercolor, I don't think it would be moving and spreading very far. I'm getting some movement, but this paper is just, and that's one of the reasons I didn't like it. It was so thirsty. I couldn't get stuff to move the way I wanted it to. But I thought for gouache, it might work. Let's put some oranges in here. Kind of let them mix. Again, I don't have oak trees. I don't know. Do oak trees, through their leaves, turn orange or yellow? Are they more prone to one color than the other? I know maples will go all different colors. And look at that, just mix right on the paper. I love the little veining that's happening there. I'm just going to turn this. This brush is not too bad. It is holding its point pretty well. Right now I kind of have that orange-yellow mixture from blending these. I'm just going to continue with it. Let's mix some of that up. That one. Oh, I just got water on my paper. Some of that yellow. There we go. That's kind of that color we have right here. I'm just going to bring that. So we have this kind of golden leaf here. Turn that upside down. go. There's that one. That should be pretty well dried enough. Let's go with some of our brown. Grab a little bit of ochre. Okay. Yeah, see, I was like, we're gonna going with this. Well, there could be oak trees that'll be that color then. Thank you, Joseph and other Tara, for sharing the information. It's kind of warm. I think I want. All right. Kind of mute that down. I went with the black versus the white. Let's see. No, I went outside the lines, which is fine. You're going to see when this dries. I'm leaving some of that dark to show through. Let's see how that dries. I'm going to go lighter again on top to see if we can get that variation. All right, our acorns. Okay, so I took the brown with a touch of the black. Not quite as dark as here when we did our branch. But I'm going to use that for my acorn color. I like the way they mix. This is still could be damp. I don't know if this is going to be a mistake. If this was watercolor, this is still damp. This would bleed right into it. Oh, we have lots of fall colors, George. George asked, do we have fall colors yet? We haven't hit peak season yet, but we are really getting close. Of course, you have to remember that where I'm at, there have been many years that our first snowfall has actually happened on Halloween. So I have to get some fall paintings in before the snow flies up here and I start wanting to paint snow scenes again. I love painting snowy scenes. There we go. And I'm going to come back afterwards with some light highlights. So definitely not, this is not how I would, if it was watercolor, I would have preserved those spots, lifted out my highlights right now at this point. So but I definitely want to see how things are going to layer. And we'll paint our other acorn. Another thing that I want to see is how my liners work on top of this. So I'm going to paint the caps. I drew in the little lines on the cap, but I'm going to paint the caps in a light color because the caps usually are lighter. And I think my acorns are probably a little dark compared to what they normally are once they go brown, but that's fine. But then I'm going to let the caps dry, and I'm going to grab one of my biennial liners and come back on top and put the lines in and see how that works on top of this gouache. Because that's something I might do in a sketchbook. If I was out, I might add some line work after the fact. So I definitely want to see, are these going to be capable of that? Let's take this color we were just using, grabbing some of my white, and I'm going to bring it over here and work this in. It's not quite the color I want. It's just not quite it. That's definitely not it. I went way too much on the, way too much when I touched the black. And I cannot mix in a small spot. It never happens. Yeah, we still have some trees that are pretty green, but our early turners are like, they're blazing with color. This brown is just, it's much warmer than I wanted, but whatever. We're just going to go with it. It's not quite what I want, but we're doing it. So don't mind my little acorn caps if they're not the right acorn cap color. We'll just make pretend that they are. It is definitely matte, for sure. I can actually see my lines through this a little bit, which is fine. I'll probably just go over them. When I come back with it. That's not bad. It's all right. It'll be fine. Cameron Redfell kittens is all of our trees. Oh, that bumped. All of our trees are green and with flowers, but you're in spring, so yeah, I bet yours are looking gorgeous. All right, let's see. Let's Let's grab some of this ochre and some of this here. See if we can't put a few highlights on our acorn. See how they will layer up that way. I'm not worried about getting right to the top because I'm going to have some shadow in there. Do it on this one as well. I'll let that dry and I'll probably come back through and do it again. I'm going to use this dark that I have here. That's dried but reactivate really easily. Needs a little bit more black. And I would expect them to reactivate well, seeing as they're coming from dried pans already. We're going to drop some shadow right under our caps. Oh, that was a little more than I wanted to pull down, but that's all right. We're going to test this out to see, can I come back over that with lighter color and cover it up? So I'm leaving it there on purpose. There we go. Okay, let's try some more light and we'll do our last leaf. I'm going to try some of this. See if I can pick a little bit up. I would like to have, like, of course, there's no texture to this paper, so I can't get that dry brush effect that I would normally get, you know, just skip across the tooth of the paper. I can't get that with this paper. Because that just helps almost paint itself to look like bark. I love cold press paper. I think we're going to call it good enough. It definitely did layer up well. I need to have my thicker layers. So this has dried some, so this gouache has gotten thicker. And as you layer up, you want your gouache to be thicker so that it's going on top and not necessarily just reactivating and pulling what's underneath it. Okay. Let's do this leaf. And we're going to do, let's get some brown, some of this yellow. I'm looking for almost like a quin gold kind of look. So this one I didn't wet first. I think the colors blended really nicely when it was. Let's just go ahead and add water. Bring a little orange. Bring a little orange into this one as well. Why not? See how streaky? Not a fan of that. The rest of this was not wet. And of course, I have the stem being brown, which it wouldn't. It would be almost the same color as the leaf. Let's bring that right over. It definitely doesn't have the opacity to cover that. It's fine. We'll see if we can't reactivate some of that and pull it into this end of our leaf without making our stem get too big here. And we'll just kind of dab that around. I just grabbed some more because we're gonna try to make that blend in. I'm getting a nice texture dabbing that on. And of course, if that is a PBR7, PBR7 granulates. So to get some granulation coming from my brown is not too surprising if that's what that pigment is. The last of that up. I'm going to turn this so I can catch this side. Well, again, I just went right outside my lines. That's fine. Grabbing some orange, grab some brown. Let our leaf be splotchy with color. This one doesn't really have a center line on it. Let's see if we can't paint it one. Just picture it would be coming through here, kind of hiding underneath that. And pick up from about there. Like, do oak leaves have all the lines coming off of them. Feeding the different segments of the leaf. Like I'm thinking maple leaf. You know, the maple leaves have all the, I would imagine they do. My picture comes down out this way. I'll just take what's on my brush and do the same on this one. Now this is still very wet, so this one might feather out a bit. That's fine. Just kind of, I didn't make extra pieces on this one, so not really anywhere else for that to link out to, but there we go. Good enough. I keep hitting outside the line. My stem keeps getting wider and wider. Oh, this is a husky main leaf here. It's like really thick at the end. Oh, what are you gonna do? Okay, let's get some more highlight to that. Maybe a little bit of like that cap color, bring some of this together. This is not thick gouache by any means at this moment. So how is it going to work? I don't know, but I'm going to see if it'll blend that, where I came down with the dark a little further than I wanted. See, when it's wet, it just wants to reactivate that layer that's underneath. That's why your gouache needs to be thicker as you go. There. Oh, good enough. That should be dry. Let's see how it works. Grab one of these markers. Okay, I got a 0.5. This is wet, so I'm like, hard for me to, I don't want to put my hand in wet paint. Let me just dry that real fast. And I will check the chat. There we go. You saw me drawing both sides of the paper there because drawing both sides of the paper kind of help it lay back flat. Let me get this out of the way. And we will just bring down some lines and see how it works. I don't know that that's exactly how they would go. I'm not looking at an acorn at the moment, but we're just going to go with it. Ah, look at our little acorns. So very easy to put line on top of this gouache. That was very smooth. It didn't activate and mess up my nib of my pen. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that is super easy to do mark making on top of after the fact. And look at how nice and matte. You're not seeing a sheen coming off of these once they're dry. Very handy for photographing your work afterwards. I like the vibrancy in the colors. So let's just pop back and look at these for a second. I like the vibrancy in the colors. Yeah, cadmium red feral kitten says, thinking these are real pigments, quins, thalos, earths. They are the least expensive, especially for children's products, right? But the color payout is good. Yeah, the color payout, I absolutely agree. The color payout for these is great. Look at the vibrancy that you have here in these colors. The opacity, again, I'm not disappointed. It's a student grade product, but things like I'm only assuming, I do not know if this is like a PBR 7, the opacity that we're getting there, if this is like a PY 42 or 43, that's kind of what I would expect to see. Those are our more opaque colors in watercolor. So to see these be like that, the black, this violet has great opacity. The ultramarine, when we look at, now that they're nice and dry, when we look at those second layers, look at the difference that we're seeing. That magenta, again, that's kind of not happening, but again, it's fine. It does if we add some white. That was definitely improved. The Carmine Lake, these definitely, all of them, when layered, the opacity did build. So if I did another layer, I would assume I could get even more out of that. I don't know about you, but I'm not looking to build layer upon layer upon layer upon layer just to get one section to be more opaque. However, as I continue to build, say if I was doing something like that painting that we just did in the watercolors, and I wanted to put that sky down and then build up some of these, layers in the gouache, I think this painting would lend itself so well to gouache. Certainly something you could give a try. Those videos are all time stamped so that you can get right to the painting parts. You could absolutely grab your favorite gouache and tackle that project with gouache versus watercolor. I think it would be amazing. Let's look at them again on the black paper now that everything's completely dry. So here we see them. As far as the white, I already knew that I had heard other people say they weren't very impressed with the white, and I look at this, I'm not either. I mean, I can get more from my Dr. Paige Martin's Bleed Proof White. So yeah, but what I might do is take the tube, and instead of having this in there, just put a different tube of white gouache in my palette to take out with me. I would absolutely take this out and paint with it. I love some of the mixes that you can create, like this green. So that is the yellow and ultramarine blue. Look at that green. It's gorgeous. Like for doing plein air paintings out, this is definitely, that's got some what I would expect to see here for trees. And I think it would be gorgeous. I bet we could make, trying to move this and not knock things over, if we took that ultramarine blue and our warm yellow, right? So that was how we got this green here. Let's touch our black to that. I'll put it right here, but look at that. It's like a gorgeous, like olivey green. Look at that. Yeah. I'm really excited to take these out and do some painting with them. I will probably bring them with me the next time I go out, just to really give them a try, like out in the field. I like it. I love the mixing ability. I love that there's a split primary set here. My first impression, I'm not at all disappointed in these. I wasn't expecting, like I said, that opacity that I would get from a professional grade gouache. I love how easily they re-wet. For the price, you can't go wrong. Like, I don't think you can go wrong for the price of these. So there you have it. Though that is the Caran D'Ache Gouache Studio. I definitely like that I can do line work after the fact. I like how they mixed on the paper. I'm still not a fan of this Strathmore Vision. I'm just still not a fan. I need to paint with these again, and I would love to paint with them on my 100% cotton medium paper. So maybe we will do that in some other type of painting soon. Yeah, we'll have to see. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what next week is. Maybe we'll give them a try with something else. I don't know. Drop me a comment and let me know what you think. Yeah. If you enjoyed having a look at these today, I hope you'll hit that thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. It lets you come and join us in the live chat here. We are live every Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And I hope you will stop by and say hi next week. A huge thank you to patrons and channel members. All of you that are on the community tier, I will see you in live chat tomorrow morning over on Discord. I hope you will join me there. And yeah, moderators Tara and Joseph, their links are in the description. Please check out their channels. Joseph streams every Tuesday now at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, same time as me, just on Tuesdays. If you haven't checked out one of his streams, I hope you'll stop by and say hi. I'll be in the comments like he was today, talking with all of you. I don't know about the fun facts. Joseph gives us some fun facts here during the stream, but I would love to have you come on by and say hello. I think that's it. I will post another video that you might like to watch right about there if you're watching this on the replay. Thanks for joining me. Let me know in the comments. Do you have these? Do you like them? I'm not disappointed at all. My first impression, I really like these. They performed like what I would expect, and I love the mixing ability. And I hope you enjoyed that tip on what to try to make a fun purple. And yeah, until next time, my friends, keep creating, and I will see you in a video real soon. Bye, guys.